We are
And
live.
hello, everybody. Yes, indeed, we are live, Bas Butterbean and Butterbean. And we're here. Rick Bassman here on Maui, back to join you fellows this week. I'm sorry I missed you last week, but I listened to the show. You guys had a good time there, and you're highly entertaining. Anyway, it's good to see you guys, and glad we're back this week. As you know, we have a special guest joining us. There's so much we can talk about, but let's just do this, man. Bas is in Arizona tonight, where he was guesting on a podcast, and the gentleman that interviewed him, I don't know, is that the right word for this guy, Bas? Gentleman?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know, it's what the gentleman's art, right? Boxing?
So Bas is sitting there with one of my favorite people on this planet. And, the final Pride show, I always talk about how Butterbean, being a Gaijin, a non-Japanese, had one of the two craziest reactions and biggest fan support of that night. The other was a gentleman that's with Bas right now. Can we say hello to none other than the Predator, Don Fry?
The Predator.
How you doing, everybody?
He is. There he is. Good to see you, Don. I always thought Butterbean and Don Fry, I don't want to say would have been a great fight. It would have been. I always thought Butterbean and Don Fry would have been like the most entertaining tag team in the history of the planet. I don't know why I thought that, but I always did.
Yeah.
Bean, can you see it?
But not a lot of speed, but it would have been a lot of
violence.
Finishes, yeah.
A lot of violence.
A lot of power.
It's been fun.
No doubt about that. Don, how are you doing, man? What's going on with you?
Oh, nothing. Just goofing off with the boss here. Talked him into coming over and tell some lies.
Yeah.
Right. What was the most fun lie you guys told today on your show?
Yeah, I can't remember them so many.
I lied a lot. This time I just lied a lot. I was talking about, of course, the auto trainer. I was doing that, and but we went into everything. We went into Japan. We went, fighting and training tips and what we did, and how to stay injury free. I mean, I think we covered a lot.
We'll have to listen to that. And I know we were talking about doing.
What,
Hey,
Bean?
Go on, Bean.
Trainer helps you toke the cigar even deeper, I take it.
It does. It helps you get a better taste out of it.
That's what I was thinking.
Don, that's awesome. And what are you drinking there, Don?
Oh, iced tea. Yeah, that's it. Iced tea. Yeah.
Were we lying today?
In a giant
Whiskey.
That's all right, Don. That's okay.
Toxic masculinity whiskey.
That's the name of his podcast, Toxic Masculinity. Him and Dan Severn.
There's some toxic masculinity whiskey.
Oh, wait. Is that your brand?
No, it just happens that somebody here in Tucson makes it, and they have the same name as our podcast. So we're looking at doing some kind of cross advertising.
Well, hell yeah, of course you should. And what do you and do you and Dan Severn have a like a theme for your podcast? You just kind of get on and shoot the bull.
A theme? What are we? A couple of girls? Goddamn! It's not prom night, baby. Hey.
Like, what's the gimmick? And how do you get a word in edgewise with Dan Severn? That's what I want to know.
I don't. I get talked about 5% of the time. Dan handles the rest of it. Yeah.
So you're it's like Butterbean, man. Bas and I never can say anything because Bean just dominates every single show, as you can tell.
I've noticed that in the last 30 seconds.
What? Sorry.
I said Rick's internet always fades out, so that's when I have to jump in and take over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because he's slacking.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey,
he's up in
Bean,
high
I'm
up in the
happy for you to take over. I'm happy for you to take over right now. What I want to hear Butterbean interview Don Fry, man. Let's see what's going on here.
Well, Don, you know, out of all the fights, it always happens. You're standing there, somebody in front of you, and they're punching you, and you're punching them, and it just keeps going like that, back and forth. How do you make that? I can never get somebody to do that. How did you end up ever? It's like you're standing there holding each other's head, just punching each other for like 5 minutes. It seems like.
Nobody's got the power you got, Bean. Nobody. Fuck, you put the boots to them.
I tell you what, you had some awesome fights in Japan. I love watching you fight.
Thanks. I enjoy watching your fights too, partner. Always.
Thank you.
Hey, I gotta say something, because we were one time, Don and I did a pro wrestling match. Where was it? Hinoki's gym, I think, right?
Yeah.
So, but he was late, and then he came in and he says, "Okay, we couldn't rehearse anything. What are we gonna do?" I say, "What if we just beat the crap out of each other for like the first 3 minutes?" He goes, "Okay, let's do that." And then we just started doing that. It was hilarious. What a game plan!
Easiest thing in the world.
That's great. You know, Bean, we arguably have the two most entertaining guys in MMA history that we're looking at right here on the same two shot. This is pretty damn cool. And then there's Butterbean, who came in. It's true, isn't it? But it's true, man. I mean, how could you be a fan of mixed martial arts in its heyday and not love Bas Butterbean and Don Fry, man? Two of the best and the most entertaining, no doubt about it.
You can't.
Legend forever, for sure.
You know what the thing was? What I will always love with Don, and that's how you can see how big it is, because, like you said already, Rick, there's not a lot of people who have that star power in Japan. And when he would come up, I always remember he would stand still, and then he would raise his right hand, and then the whole side of that audience would freaking go crazy. And then while he lifted his other hand, the other side would stop, and that side, and then he started doing back and forth and back, and then the freaking 48,000 people. Dude, it was insanity. It was always the coolest thing.
Highest paid cheerleader.
That's for sure.
Yeah, boss, I never had, I was never lucky enough to see you fight in Japan. I know, obviously, that you're a monster legend there. I've hung out with you in Japan. I see the way people react to you. So you know what a huge star you are there. But Don and Butterbean, man, you probably called some of Butterbean's fights, I would guess. And I'm telling you, and it's not just because these two guys are on here right now. These were the two biggest fan favorites in Japanese fighting right here. Keep in mind that I did not get to see you, boss.
Yeah, too bad. But you know what? And too bad, because I just left the Pride Fighting Championships when Bean came over. I wish that I was still there for his commentating. That would have been freaking awesome. I just sent you a picture. I just sent Eric a picture from the first time we met all the way back in Prince George in Canada. I was on my computer going through some stuff, and I go like, no way. I just saw that picture, long time ago. I mean, 50 years.
I've lost a lot of weight since then.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a good time. Time.
So Don, so we kind of do have a theme on this show. So I guess we're a bunch of girls. I don't know. But man, we talk about we talk about deep, tough stuff, man. And I know your history. I've had the good fortune of getting to hang out with you a bit. I know you never hesitate talking about the stuff that you've been through. And then if you don't mind hanging with us for a little bit, that would be really cool. I want to bring our guest on tonight, if that's all right. And Don, please hang with us. I would love to see you in this mix tonight. It'd be really cool. So Butterbean and Bas Butterbean and myself have talked about the ups and the downs of life and some of the horrific stuff that we've had to deal with, just like everybody out there has to. And the goal is, let's get it all out there and let people know that it's a human condition, man. And Don Fry has gotten through some serious shit with an amazing sense of humor, always. I mean, he keeps it together. Our guest tonight, and I wrote this in a private text thread we had going the other day, and also on the post I put together. We've been through it, all of us right here, individually, collectively. this next guy, not that we're measuring or comparing, but this next guy might take the cake. He's an absolute legend from the world of bodybuilding, and that's great. But what's most impressive about me to him is the storms this guy has weathered and how he continues to fight back and fight back. And this is somebody I've wanted to have on Talking Tough from day one. Bas and Bean, I've seen some of the texts that you've been exchanging with this gentleman over the past few days. Seems like you're pretty jacked up for it. So, without further delay, and again, I'm so thrilled Don Fry is with us tonight. Hopefully we're putting the pressure on you now, man, to hang with us. And let me introduce our audience. And Don, if you don't know him already, joining us now is the legendary Flex Wheeler.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey.
Good. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, listen, I Rick, thank you so much for the introduction. Don Fry, I have only watched you fight, and like Butter said, being said over there, it's just great watching somebody back in that era just grab somebody in the back of the neck and just all day long. It's not like this. I don't want to be disrespectful to the martial arts fighting now, but it's just different. Let's just say it's different. Bas Butterbean, as you said in one of our texts, yeah, we met a long time ago back in the Hawaii days, and probably the best thing in the world that we didn't talk and hang out too long, because you probably would have ruined me back then, because I would have probably done and hung out whatever you said. And then also in that text, Butterbean, I mean, you really changed the face of mixed martial arts and toughness. When you look at somebody like Bas or Mr. Fry over there, you can tell that they're tough. You can tell that they can get down. But unfortunately, right, the cliche, when you look at a man or a boy, when you see someone overweight, you think they're a punk and they're weak. And man, just watching you come out in the ring, and I'm like, okay, and then your history of what you've done. I can't imagine how many overweight little boys and girls and men that you gave some type of, feeling of just being a man, and it's okay. So Jesus Christ, it's such an honor to be on all you guys. And then, I mean, nobody carries a cake like Rick. I mean, first and foremost, with a voice like that, you're born to do this type of thing, and your whole career and martial arts and wrestling and everything. I just, no ass kissing. I'm not that type of guy whatsoever, but respect needs to be given to respect is due. And I think a lot of us who are legends in our own right, the youngsters don't know where they came from. They don't know that we built this sport. We carried the sport on our back. And, unfortunately, because of, the internet and YouTube and all of that, a lot of that is lost. So me, myself, my first love is martial arts. I love martial arts more than anything. I would have stayed in martial arts, but I came from an era where you didn't make any money. It was embarrassing. I was a high level kicker. I love kicking. I love taking people's heads off. I love just rock and rolling. If somebody gave me a bloody nose, man, I'd give them damn near a hug and like, man, let's get it on. It's just nothing better. I never been into drugs or anything like that, but I can't imagine there's anything higher than a feeling of moving around with another person. But I came from an era where it was embarrassing. If you're a martial arts and you went into a movie, you did a couple of flamboyant kicks, and the star of the show just knocked you out with one punch. It was very disrespectful to us true martial artists back then. So, I got into bodybuilding, and, I did okay. But again, thank you so much for an introduction. And it's just a pleasure to be on the floor with three legends here.
Man,
I don't know if sorry, Bas.
I'm gonna say, listen, all the way back, when I did bodybuilding, I was like 20 years old with also, and I was Leni Tops. I don't know if you know, she was a female bodybuilder from Holland. She was the Dutch champion. And it was always, I mean, the magazines, it was you, dude, you freaking giant. And then I saw the videos that you sent me, of him, you should see his kicks. I mean, you're super fast for your weight, for your posture. I mean, the last guy you said it was point karate or point. Dude, you nailed that guy. I mean, the sidekick he was flying backward. I mean, you were going to town on him. Was there something personally with him?
No. I love rocking and rolling. Back then my nickname was Bedrock. People made fun of it, but I just love the Flintstones. You look at Fred Flintstone's feet, he's like hardcore, right? He's unbreakable. Those guys, they're unbendable back then, that cartoon. And, back then, Ed Parker was still alive, and there was the internationals, and we just fought with gloves. We didn't even fight with any feet. And there was no carpet on the floor, or no mats or anything like that. We just fought on the concrete. Hardly anybody ever got hurt. And it was no disrespect in breaking someone's ribs with a kick. It was very, very natural to get knocked out by a spinning kick to the head. It wasn't like the person got up and wanted to fight. It was beautiful. It was the art in its purest form. So I only knew one speed, and that's just full speed. And I was a terrified fighter. I fought with, and I watched some of the greatest fighters in the world. I watched Billy Blanks fight. I watched, Benny the Jet fight, and I wasn't on these gentlemen's level at all. So I knew there were people out there of that caliber, and I was terrified that I would run into one of them. So for me personally, I never wanted to hang around and see what another man had to offer. I always wanted to be first, and I always wanted to be last. And I always wanted to try to break my opponent's will. If I could break his will in the first couple of 30 seconds, then I can start doing the highlight stuff, the aerial kicks and everything, because they're going to just stand there and wait for it to happen. So being a true fighter, I understood the skinniest punk in the world can knock you out. If they touch your button, they touch you here, they touch you here, they touch you in the solar plex, it's a wrap. You're not going down. I mean, maybe not Mr. Fry, you know what I'm saying? Because he got touched there all day long, but that's hereditary, right? The ability not to get knocked out is hereditary. But if you get touched on that light switch, you're going to sleep, or you're not going to be able to perform. So I was just a terrified fighter, and I just believe in throwing as hard as I can, and as fast as I can, and as much as I can, because again, I just didn't want to know what my opponent had to offer.
Flex, I don't know if if the pro wrestling and mixed martial arts and boxing fans out there probably don't know the following. If you ask people in bodybuilding, so who's the toughest bodybuilder ever, like behind the scenes, real deal kind of stuff, you hear the same two things almost every single time. You always hear, well, the second toughest guy, the realest guy was Chris Cormier. And then you always hear number one, no close second, Flex Wheeler. So that's
I didn't know that.
30 years I've heard that, man. And
I didn't know
Don,
that.
Who's your dog? Let's meet the dog, man.
That's the love of my life, Quinn.
Quinn?
That's good. Got an English bulldog, yeah?
Oh, yeah. He's beautiful. I'm not home right now, but I have my dog. He's my service dog. He's trained and everything, but his name is Achilles. So I have a red-nosed pit bull. So I love dogs. They're amazing. It's funny when women get upset with us, they call us dogs.
Yeah.
Dog is the most faithful. I'm like, really? I'm like, that's a compliment. You know what I mean?
We call them a female bitch if we're upset.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. You see, now I realize, just because of what you said. By the way, Flex, I want to go back to this. The martial arts really helped you with your bodybuilding, with your posing, right? I mean, you're
100%. 100%. It helped me in all aspects. It's similar. You have a team who helps get you ready. In bodybuilding, I have my training partners who was Chris Cormier and Rico McClinton. And martial arts, I had my instructor, Ty McGuire, and everybody that I fought against. But once I get out in that ring, once I get out on stage, it's just you and you alone. And they can't run in and help you. So it taught me that discipline. It taught me that discipline of when no one's looking, that I need to be the hardest working man in the room, like The Rock said. And Rock, I argue with you, son. The only reason you're the hardest working man in the room is because I'm not in the room with you. Okay? Let's get that straight. But The Rock actually trained at Gold's Gym back when I was banging. But
also posing.
Of course it did. Just the pure discipline that to be very serious about your craft. And that if you're not serious, other people who are artists in their craft will be able to see that and poke holes in you. Back then, we pulled your skirt up real quick and see what you were packing underneath there, and then call you out on it. Again, when Bean was fighting, when you were fighting, when Mr. Fry was fighting, it was a very, very different game. We all knew there was no shit talking, because the guy would be like, hey, turn the TV off, turn the lights off. Hey, listen, me and you can go down the street and we can make it happen. So there was a mutual respect about us back then.
Did it not make you too stiff fighting and bodybuilding at the same time?
because I came from a fight background, I started fighting and I started martial arts when I was 9 years old. So then you're flexible at 9, right? You can do anything. You can bend your leg behind your head and everything. So
I never could. I mean, I've been chubby all my life, but that never happened for me.
right.
Never was either, man.
Well, Don, you don't have to when you got cement in your hands. You know what I mean? All you do is just, I mean, you really don't have to. And with a man stash like that, I mean, come on, I mean, men are going to run away just from that mustache you got there. I mean, but no, so I started so young, I kept my flexibility because I dabbled in bodybuilding and martial arts at the same time. I would go in a gym and I would train martial arts for hours, 4 or 5 hours. And our martial arts studio was inside a gym at the time. And then me and my martial artist instructor, we would then go over and train weights. So I was able to keep my flexibility. So that's such an old cliche, when we're young, being really muscular takes away your flexibility. Because even when I was 298 pounds fully into bodybuilding as a pro, I could take my leg and throw it straight up in the air and pump it in the air. And that just came from just consistently practicing. Listen, if you train martial arts and then you go and you stretch it immediately after it and you practice your craft, you won't be heavy, you won't be slow. That's so old. I think Lee Haney proved that back in the days when he started training Holyfield, right? Holyfield came out, he was more muscular, just as fast, if not faster. Shoot.
We got you.
We lost some sound, and
he's back.
You all right? You all settled? Flex, you with us?
Flex.
I think yes. Let me flex a little bit.
Something happened there. He'll be back.
I'm pretty sure he'll be back.
Hey, I wanna ask Don. Don, if you don't mind, could you like bring our listeners and viewers up to like what your recent history has been like with your with the surgeries and the back challenges and all that fun stuff?
Oh, fudge. Had a bunch of them.
Well, he just told me the story about a car accident.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do they have much time?
I mean, it's a serious list of shit. Like how many back surgeries have you had now? And neck, back and neck.
Back and neck. I've only had one neck surgery. The back surgery is somewhere between 15 and 20.
Wow.
Related because I had a bunch of infections. So they've cut on me a lot of times to get the infection out. And the last few years, I had some real good infections to where they were inside the spinal cord, and the doctors told me that they almost vomited,
Yeah.
And when they cut it open and they saw all the stuff ooze out,
Yeah.
Dude, I went to visit him in LA when you were in the hospital.
Yeah.
And you were 180 pounds or something.
Yeah.
I mean, he was complete. He had a big beard. And then he showed me, I said, show me the scar. Now, I have a scar like this in my neck. And I thought it was a big scar. His scar is from his butt cheek all the way up to above his shoulder blades. And I think he had a 12-disc fusion or like something crazy.
No, only 10.
Only 10.
Only 10. Yeah.
Everything is rots in his back. And then he had an accident, a car accident, like not so long ago.
Yeah.
And he broke the freaking rod, so they had to go in and do the whole thing again. I mean, it's just crazy.
I broke him. I broke him in a car wreck, and I didn't know I broke him. So I walked around on it for a year and a half, 2 years with broken rods. And I didn't realize until they did the surgery. It was a 10-hour surgery to pull out the old ones and put in the new ones, and then 3 hours to clean up the scar tissue from the rod scraping the inside of my back, and and I lost my quad on my right leg, because no nerve. There he is. There he is.
It's nuts, boss. It's like I was saying earlier, you and I and Bean, we've talked about it on the show, like the shit that we've been through. Right. And I was saying, then you talk to Don Fry and Flex Wheeler, and you're like, holy shit. Like Don, I know we talked about it a little bit. I've had a mere 4 back surgeries, and the septic infection and MRSA and all that, and the drugs they gave me killed both my kidneys. I was on dialysis, then the 2 strokes, and I tell that like it sounds like a lot. And then you talk to Don Fry and Flex Wheeler, and it's like we feel like he got scratched. It's pretty. Just
one Flex.
Hold on one second. But who split their penis in half? All right. Now,
Don, I was hearing the last end of your story. Good God, Jesus Christ, man.
What do we got there, boss? You got to maybe pull it backwards a little bit. It's fuzzy.
Star.
Oh shit! Yep.
Jeez, Don, do you have any neuropathy or anything?
Yeah. How about you, partner?
Yeah. Oh man, I stay at pretty much a level 9 to 10. It's been like that for the last 3 years, man. It's just, it's hard to explain to people nerve pain, and it's hard to explain people what it's like to be in consistent pain. I'm not talking for a few hours or a few days, or even a few weeks. I'm talking years. I think they depict it in these war movies when they take a prisoner of war and they torture them all day long. Even the strongest, person, after a few months or even more so a few years, they're broke. Their mind is just bent. And I can't imagine. But, it's almost, especially somebody as tough as you. And I grew up watching you, and it's said a million times over, each generation, no disrespect to other men. This is a fact. Each generation, their testosterone, they're lesser. The men who were, 2 or 3 generations before us, the testosterone was higher. There were more men than we are. So to hear someone like you go through that, it makes me feel so much not like a punk, because a lot of times when you go through that type of pain, you challenge yourself. Am I a PUSS? Is this just happening? Am I the only one? And that's where the dark thoughts come in and start, for me, whooping my own ass. So.
Yeah, it makes you question your manhood.
Flex, can I ask you a question? Because you hear this a lot, right? I'm going to go straight into it because I don't know anyway how to pronounce. How to.
You don't think about your punches, do you? You just punch and kick. So why be different here?
No, but what I'm saying is this: you lost your leg, right?
Yes,
and we're probably going to go into that why. But is it true that you wake up at times that you really believe it's still there? Because you hear.
Yeah. No, first and foremost, gentlemen, you can ask me anything. I'm very, very rare like that. There's no question, and I mean, there's no question that you can ask me. Some of you gentlemen traveled around the world. I mean, I've done seminars in bars in Germany. So back in the 80s and 90s. So it's very raw and it's very real. I mean, do you like so and so? Do you like this? So I'm open. I'm very, very open. So yeah, I lost my leg about 2 years ago, and we'll get into that whenever you gentlemen are ready. But yeah, it's called phantom pain. So like right now, I have phantom pain, and this right now is at a 10. I left my narco in the car, my narcotics that I have to take, and also my rub that I use. But right now, it's like my toes are on fire, and it's like electrical storm going down there. Sometimes it feels like my pinky toe is literally being bent backwards, or my big toe is being bent backwards. Yeah.
From the leg that's not there anymore.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Oh.
Because the nerves are still there. So it's really a true mind F not to have it anymore. But I go through more pain than I ever can imagine. Sometimes it's like literally, I'm not joking. And we're laughing and I'm big smiles and everything because I'm on camera. But, when I'm in a fetal position, sobbing, it's not funny anymore. But sometimes it literally is like someone has a hot poker and they're just scraping the inside of my flesh of my foot. Like I said, it feels like my toes are being literally like bent and broken backwards. Or it's just like as if I guess the only way to really explain it is to everybody's had a cavity or their teeth worked on, right? And everybody's had the dentist accidentally hit one of those nerves. And it's like, Well, have that for like nonstop for years. That's what it feels like. I call it a lightning storm because if you look at pure lightning, it goes across the sky and then it just breaks up in all these branches. So it's like a lightning storm consistently in my leg and my residual limb.
So how are you finding, Flex, like the will to get up and be on camera and smile when you deal with that so actively?
I had a kidney transplant. I have this rare disease called FSGS where I lost my kidney and it ended my career in bodybuilding. And I thought I was going to come back, and fight. As back when K1 first started, I was like, oh my God, these guys are in for murdering, right? I can go back and fight now. And then I realized because my kidney is in my new kidney is in my frontal left side, a good friend of mine, we were training. He's like, Flex, what happens if you catch a roundhouse or a straight side kick? And I'm like, well, I fight right leg forward anyway, so it's not going to happen. He goes, well, you're more susceptible to a roundhouse or just like a hook. And I'm like, God dang, it would kill me. Literally, I would die right there in the ring from that. So that ended that. But I've been through a lot, 9 surgeries in 11 weeks for my kidney transplant that I literally almost died. I went in the hospital when I had my kidney transplant, and I was 268 pounds, and I can show you the pictures. And when I came out of the hospital, I was literally barely 190 pounds. I had to learn how to walk again. I was just atrophied everywhere. But my point is honestly, I don't know, other than the man upstairs. Boss, how did you learn to hit? Where did that drive come from to hit and fight so hard? Mr. Fry, where did your mental toughness come from? Butterbean, where in the hell did you ever think you could fight at? Rick, where did you ever come up with you can do what you did? I think it's truly our gifts. We all given these amazing gifts. And as far as losing my leg, it was a 2-year fight in a battle of trying to keep my leg. And it was a lot of surgeries and everything I've been through. So when I made the decision to go ahead and take my leg, I also made a decision. It's no way in hell that, I just have faith. I believe in a man upstairs and he leads me. And I just thought to myself, I was like, it's no way in hell that God allowed this little black kid from the ghetto who was homeless, who was beaten, who was raped, who was molested, who was hungry. There's no way that he allowed this little kid to become this global athlete and build this global name to then run and be a punk when something horrible happened, And before they even took my leg, I just made a decision. I was like, I'm going to find out how I can be a spokesperson for amputees, because to date, I don't think there's no one, and it's not a title that I want, but I don't think there's anyone who made such greatness in sports and then lost their leg in multiple different sports. So, man, I just get a lot of messages. I got millions of messages because it went global from other amputees from our boys and girls in the military. I got messages from people who didn't have any legs whatsoever. I got messages from people who lost an arm, and so many stories. I knew that I wasn't alone. I was like, honestly, we're wired like that, right? We beat our own ass a lot, and we're our worst enemy. And I'm the worst person to get in the ring with is myself. And I'm sure you gentlemen are the same way. I just said, how can I sit here and be a punk? There's other people out there who don't have no legs. At least I got one. I got both my arms. So how can I sit here and be a punk when I see these other people? There's this one kid that I follow. He's a double amputee and he's only 7. And I'm like, this kid will never be able to do the things I did, right? Or have the opportunity of doing the things that you did on that level. I mean, obviously, he can do great things. And that's his slogan. His mother always makes him say, what are you going to do? I'm going to do great things. So sure, but he's never going to be able to do it on our level. You know what I mean? I'm like, how can I sit up here and F and cry about it? Look what I got to do. Look where I came from, from a person who couldn't even feed himself to now being able to feed himself, from his sport. And there's this other young man. He's a man, but he, from the torso down, there's nothing there. He's this black kid, and he does all these sports. He's trying to get into MMA now. He's a world-class wrestler. Maybe you guys have seen him or followed him on Instagram, but he's a world-class wrestler in college, got a college scholarship to wrestle. And, so I'm like, how can I sit here and be a punk about it? Now, does that make it any easier? No, man. I mean, you know, there's still times where I look down and it shocks me. It's like, wait, you know, damn, it is true. I lost my leg, you know, or
So
times I'm going to get out of bed.
What happened? Why did you lose your leg? I don't know.
Right. So we're still actually, that's the reason why I'm down here in California right now. I drove down to Stanford and I was meeting with surgeons and stuff like that because we're still trying to find out. So finally, the verdict is up. And, you know, when I lost my leg, when I had my kidney transplant, a girl from my church ended up being my donor. And she was very small and very petite. And when we were on the table for the surgery, they discovered that her main artery to her kidney was too short because I was a lot taller and a lot muscular. Like when I went into my surgery, like I said, I was 260 something pounds at about 4%. So what they decided to do is to take the main artery out of my left leg and stretch it and make it into an artery that's long enough for the kidney. So they then had to put a graft from my right leg to my left leg to feed it blood supply. Ironically, 2 days later, I actually end up getting a blood clot in my right leg that I end up losing later on. So the verdict is that graft that they put in my groin area to supply blood was never meant to last 19 years. It wasn't built for it. I'm a 19-year-old kidney survivor now. So it was never meant to last that long. So it sucks that they'll call you and tell you that your airbag doesn't work anymore in your car, but they won't call you and tell you that what they put in you, you know, is not functional anymore. So I guess over time it started spitting out blood clots, hence the blood clot that caused me to lose my right leg. Wow. So, yeah.
But you know what I really love is what you said. You know, you said, I became this person from the ghetto. I went to become this big person. And then this bad thing happens. And you know, because you believe in the Lord, you said, he doesn't want me to sit down right now. He wants to deal with it and to be, and that's, you know, Nick Vujicic, I believe is his name, is one of these guys who was born with no legs and no arms. And I saw, he was at the school of my daughter speaking. He's a speaker, motivational speaker.
Yeah.
Nick Vujicic, boss. Love that guy. Yeah. Yes.
That's it's unbelievable, you know. And when you look at people, so you always find a way. But he was born like that. You've been at the top of the freaking pyramid with whatever with bodybuilding, with the sport that you did and love to do, and the fighting and the martial arts, and then to get it taken away. That's a hard one because we all as fighters, I know 100% that you too, Bean, think about this. What if we would like lose a leg or get paralyzed? What do you do? I think for me, normally I would have said, I'm going to kill myself. You know, there's no way I can do it. You know, because that going from this to this. When I lost I had a neck surgery, and I lost the power of my arm. And I always tell people, look at this arm, right? See, so this it's completely gone, right?
Hey, I'm your twin. Same thing in my surgery. This is my biggest arm in the world. This was my big, massive arm. And the nerves are just gone. I can dig right in there. It's nothing there. So I know what you mean. Yeah. And I try to hide it all the time.
Yeah, me too. I get long sleeves. And then because people always go, what is that? And you explain nerves, and people don't understand what nerves are. They think it's scut or something. I used to do 9 one-arm pull-ups, right? And suddenly from that, I go to not be able to pull a trigger from a gun, not be able to grab a glass. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't snap my fingers anymore. Now still have to focus in order to do it. But at least I got my hand back. Yeah. And for me, that was a big thing. You lost the complete leg. You see, that's way more than what I had. And this
it sounds worse when you say it. I don't know. I'm not going to go back and rethink this.
But you see how strong-minded you are.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. No, I honestly, I don't know. I truly don't know because, you know, I get, you know, men like you saying how strong you are, and I get all these messages, and I almost don't want to hear it because I'm like, you're not with me when I'm sobbing, you know, you're not with me when I can't get out of bed, you know, because I'm so broken, you know, you're not with me when I'm cussing like, why did this happen to me? Or I hate being a cripple, or, you know, hate being, you know, an amputee. And in those times I'm not strong, but you know, what my close brothers and sisters, you know, tell me is, you know, that is strength because you go through it. And I remember the first time I came back home after losing my leg, and I live in a 2-story house, and I came in, and it was the first time I slept, you know, because I didn't sleep the whole 4 months I was in a hospital. They're coming in and they're taking blood from me like 6 times a day at all these crazy hours, you know. All of you guys know who's been in the hospital, you can't freaking sleep. You know, they're in and out. The light is shining in your room. They're coming in and checking on you and all this crap. And I just passed out and I woke up and I just broke down because I like, wow, you know, last time I laid in his bed, I had 2 legs, you know, and the devil and, you know, just really came out and just beat my ASS. You know, I got my crutches and I walked to the stairs. And when you walk downstairs, you only look at the next step, or sometimes you don't even look, right? Because you understand that cadence. I just looked over the rail. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's a long fall. That's a long fall. You know, and if I fall with my crutches, I'm breaking everything. I'm an old ass now. I'm brittle, you know, and it terrified me. And I sat there and I sobbed on my steps and I was like, Jesus, you know, and I went down my steps and I got in my wheelchair and I just looked around at all my pictures. You know, I'm like, wow, you know, how beautiful is 2 legs.
Oh, man.
We don't think about that. How beautiful. I'm looking at all these pictures and, you know, my right leg was my dominant leg in fighting, you know, losing my right arm was my dominant arm in fighting. I fought right leg forward. You know, I'm reversed. Like when I shoot, I'm strong eye dominant on my left. So I shoot cross on my left, you know, because my right leg and my right arm was more powerful. I fought off of that. So it was my lead. And when I wanted to set up for a knockout, I would change and then come with my right. So they didn't know it. They couldn't figure it out. Right. But I looked at all these pictures and my dominant leg that I smashed down on and I showed mostly was my right leg. It was 32 inches, 32 and a half inches. And, you know, and I'm just looking around at everything. I'm like, wow, when I bought my house, I had 2 legs. You know, when I bought my car, I'm looking in the garage, you know, all of this, I had 2 legs. Wow, how beautiful is 2 legs. And I just went outside my front yard in my wheelchair and I just sobbed. And I just said to myself, I'm like, you know, if I really want to help people, who are like me, who are suicidal, that's one thing I left out. I've been suicidal since the age of, I think I was like 11 or something, the first time I tried to take my life. And the last time, you know, was just a few years ago. So I have that demon to deal with, you know, and that's something else we can talk about another time because people think that, you know, suicide is so easy to walk away from. Like, oh, look at everything you have. It's like, yeah. You know, when you're in that heat, you don't think about that. You just think about hurry up and pull that trigger and you don't feel it no more, you know. But I told myself, I go, you know, if you really want to help people who are amputees and, you know, people who are, you know, low self-esteem and depression and suicide, I go, I'm going to have to go in the bowels of all the hurt. I'm going to have to like experience this. I can't cheat it. I can't run away from it. I got to sit there and I got to feel all this hurt. So therefore, I know another man or another woman, when I look in their eyes, I know what they're going through. And I can look at them honestly and say, I know what you're going through. But if I cheat any of this and shortchange it, and I sit there in front of someone who's really going through it, I'm going to lose them because they're going to look in my eyes and they're going to know I'm lying. The same as you hear in all like the videos, you know, I mean, the movies when you're talking to some kid from the ghetto and you're trying to give them, you know, information and you say, I know what you're going through. They're going to look at you, dude, you don't know what I'm going through. You don't know what it's like on these streets. Don't BS me. Now this kid might try to take your life or he's going to go and take his own life. So I knew I had to go through all the hurt and honestly earn it and try to win that battle. And it's an ongoing battle. To be able to sit there in front of other people and say, man, I know what you're going through and I'm here. Let's go through it together. And, you know, listen, you make me a promise, you keep fighting. I keep fighting. But it doesn't make it any easier, man. It doesn't, you know, like you said, boss, man, I miss the beauty of just walking. You know, I miss the beauty of just when I want to get up and go to the bathroom, I can just get up and walk and go to the bathroom, you know, simple things, you know, as a man, it just really bends you, you know. I would think just as an amputee at all, but, you know, like sitting and watching movies at my house, you know, there's no wait until the last second. I gotta go to the bathroom. No, man.
Okay. Can I ask you how much, where is it?
I'm below the knee. I'm a BK. So it's below my knee.
So you have a prosthetic. And
yes, sir.
You can walk now.
Yes,
but
sir.
it never feels like real walking, right?
No. It's called cadence and it's called gait. So what it took the longest is balance, because there's no balance, right? We use our feet, our toes as balance. And unfortunately, in a back surgery, as I heard you guys talking about, 20 years ago, I had a back surgery that I lost the ability to use my left calf. So I can't even balance myself off my left calf. And that's how I actually propelled myself in walking for 20 years. So now I don't even have that. I have to use my glute from my left leg to propel me to walk, because my calf can't do it on my left side. So, now in learning shooting, I'm having to learn the balance and everything. So this is my beautiful leg. I'll share with you guys. I'm Gotti, so I'm about branding. So that's my famous picture on it and my name. So listen, Raw boys, if you guys want to join me and we like have a drink and we go and have you guys lose your right leg, man, we can bond. Everybody's bald headed already. Maybe we, grow a beard like the man over there, and we can all be like the triplets. You guys are in? No.
No, I'll keep my leg. I'll sit this one out, but thanks, man.
I think that's probably the only time you ever said to a man who's challenged you, "I'll sit this one out, Mr. Fry."
Listen, I wouldn't be a Yakuza guy because I would lose a pinky, and that's so no, trust me, man.
Yeah, Boston, I know what you're talking about. And one of my surgeries, when they put a stent in my chest trying to save my leg, I end up bleeding out. It burst 2 days later, and I bled out everywhere. And at that time, I learned that you think blood is everywhere.
Yeah.
But actually, blood don't get along with your flesh, and it don't get along with your veins. And if they touch each other, it ruins everything. So I lost a whole complete right side. I had to learn how to write with my left hand, how to wipe myself, shower with myself, my left hand. And I'm barely now getting, sensation back in my right side. And, like you said, my right side always was the side that always did the one bicep. It was 21 and a half inches. So, it's interesting. But, we, at the end of the day, we just got to get on. Listen, we all know there's two ways of doing everything. There's fight and flight. Yeah. And last time I run from a fight, I was a kid. When I used to get beat up and bullied, I don't run no more. I don't run no more. So there's no running from this fight. And being suicidal is something that I got to learn to master, because still at times it takes me into the bowels of hell where I wonder how bad is suicide really. But I'm so in love, and I'm here in a hotel with my daughter. Who's the world. She probably has more pictures of me on Instagram than any of my other kids, because she was born in that era. But she's 13 years old, and my biggest thing now is I want to show my kids what a real fight is and how you handle it, and not to run. And regardless in life, what it throws at you, and life will throw you some real BS. You just got to fight. So I'm brutally honest. I cry in front of them. I let them know how I feel. My son, Nia and Darius and Kenan, they've been through my kidney transplant. They seen me, crying. They seen me dialysizing myself at home. They seen all the surgeries I've been through. And, I would talk to them in detail about what I'm going through, what this feel like. If they're sticking a needle in my arm, I would look at them and be like, it's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to show, true strength to them. It ain't this bullshit. Truly, gentlemen, it ain't how hard you can hit. It ain't knocking a man out. That's easy. It's none of that. It ain't fighting. Over time, like Bruce Lee said, I fear the man who not practice 1,000 kicks. I fear the man who practice one kick. So you can learn that. Anybody can learn that. I love Bill Superfoot Wallace to death, but he had a right leg and a right arm, and he mastered it, and he worked everyone. So you can learn that even with a handicap. So I'm trying to show them, I'm trying to teach them by doing it. Right, by going through it is just what true grit is, and that no matter what life throws at you, whether it's a kidney transplant, I had back surgeries and knee surgeries, and now losing my leg. That hey man, you don't bend over, and you don't take it from no one. You get up and you fight, and the times where I can't fight and I'm laying in bed and I'm sobbing, which is mostly around my 13-year-old Pearl, I'm beautifully honest with her. I tell her, I'm like, what, I'll be okay. Give me a couple of hours, or give me the next day, and I'll get up and I'll try to shine on those days. And I just want to teach them, because right now, it's so pathetic that the suicide rate is so great with our kids now. It's mind bending. And I truly think it's because people, who have achieved something, whether it's money or beauty or whatever, they're worthless. They don't tell the truth about what they've really been through. It's so great and easy to see the glitz and the glory, but damn, you have no idea of the grit and glory that person have been through. So I love this show because you have some of the toughest men on the planet being brutally honest. And I never knew what you've been through, boss. I never knew what you've been through, Rick. I never knew that you've been through that, Mr. Fry. And I'm waiting to hear your story, eventually, Butterbean. But I never knew that about you, gentlemen. All I seen was your greatness, but I never knew. And like I said, Mr. Fry, to hear you say that, that you've been through, and then to have that immediate bond that, I know what nerve pain is. It's like, good God, man, a man like that been through that. And for you to say it, we'll challenge your man. I mean, I don't think there's more of a man that I ever seen eyes that fought the way you did. And even that mustache looked like it could whoop most people's ass. You know what I'm saying? But to hear you say that, it makes me feel like, okay, I'm not a punk. I'm normal. So this show is amazing, and I love it when I meet people who are brutally honest. Terry Crews is a good friend of mine. What show haven't you seen him in? Football, every movie, a comedian, a tough guy. But to hear about his story, good God, are you kidding me?
Molested 3 times too. So,
jeez, I didn't know that even.
Yeah.
Did you ever say that?
I ain't something you walk around and tell. Don't get a
No,
t-shirt.
but did you ever say that on camera?
I don't think so.
I never did. I know Kevin Randleman, the great and late, unfortunately, Kevin Randleman. But I wrote you when you said what happened, and I go like, there's no way, and I never expected that. I never knew that. That's so crazy. But you see, this is what this podcast is about, and that's what you said, Rick. We come and we show and you already touched it as well, Flex. We're all these tough guys, but people don't know the downside. Like, oh, I'm a tough guy now, but you don't see me crawling up and crying. And, and it's all I say, no, but you gather yourself together, you do it, and not for you. You're doing it for people who are in the same situation, and then you can help them, and that's why you're doing it.
Yeah, they don't have our light. They don't have the light. They don't have the media that we have. I love watching Mike Tyson's podcast because he's such a different version of Mike Tyson. And I watched this interview he had with William Shatner, right? Come on, William Shatner, dude. I mean, he was with everybody. He was even with the Green Woman, and Mars. William didn't care. Captain Kirk, he just didn't care. She can have an interior. He's like, yeah, she's good to go. Let's do it. But I watched Mike talk about how he cried before fights. Yep. And I could relate to that because I was so terrified that I knew what a man could do to another man. I'm like, Jesus, is this my turn? Is this my turn to be on someone's highlight reel? But to look at Mike Tyson and have him, hear him say that he cried before each fight. And as he walked towards the ring, he just started brainwashing himself. And I would do the same. I'd be so terrified, and he like when he gets to the ring, he felt like a god. I would walk to the ring and I would have to brainwash myself, because I'm like, this could be a different version of a person I fought before. They could have got better too. Yeah. I'm not gonna, and so I'd be terrified. What if he got better? So I would literally look at my opponent across the ring and I would just stare at him, not in anger, but I'm like, and I'm brainwashing myself, telling him you should leave. And if he didn't walk away, obviously, which he wouldn't, I'd be like, so really, you think you can beat me? So now my tears are anger. Like, really, you standing there like you think you can beat me? All right, so I'm gonna show you can really win here. And that's why you asked why I was so vicious off the lead, because I wanted to own them. Because if I didn't, and they threw a technique at me, it's gonna get me here, no matter how tough I am. Yeah. If they rock me, I'm gonna have to deal with that, and I'm gonna have to deal with that feeling that they might throw it again. So I brainwashed myself the same way, but and what we're going through in life now, there's no brainwashing, man. Like I said, your worst opponent lives within you. He lives up here, and 9 times out of 10, he wins. And this is just truly a fight in my life that I can't lose. I had this thing.
I saw Georges St-Pierre for his 3rd fight ever. So a fight I might have told this on the show. And it was when Dwayne Ludwig knocked out Jens Pulver and became a champion in Canada. It was this big thing. But anyway, I saw Georges fight, Georges St-Pierre, and I go like, dude, this guy's really good. And it was just his 3rd fight. So backstage, I'm standing, and he's coming by in the dressing rooms. And I go, excuse me. I said, what's your name again? He goes, George. I say, George, come over here. And we start talking. I said, you're going to be the next world champion. You know that, right? And he goes, oh, really? You mean it? I said, no, I know you're going to be, because, I mean, it's a crazy technique that you have. So,
Yeah.
oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. He says, can I ask you a question? I say, sure. He says,
Who are you?
No. He said, how I'm afraid before I fight, but you're not afraid. How can I do that? I go like, are you serious? And he goes, what do you mean? I said, everybody is afraid.
Yeah.
We're all afraid.
Yeah.
I said, let the guy. It's just the way you deal with it.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do. But it's all we have, that fear. You know,
Yeah.
we don't want to lose. But once you let this, once you let go that you fight for the people,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you just fight for yourself, that for me always took a lot of pressure away.
Yeah. Yeah. I it was an old
Yeah,
video.
excuse me for a minute. I gotta see a man about a horse.
Jeez, too much information. Way too much. I got a visual now. I like to block that out here. It was an interview where it had like all the heavyweights when they're, before we lost a lot of them, and Mike Tyson was among of them, and he sat there and he talked about. He goes, if any man up here lies to you and tell you they weren't scared before a fight, he's a damn liar. Yep. We're all terrified. We have such vicious skill sets that it terrifies us to know that other man has that same skill set. And I think it's really true. It's how you master it, or if you're really that great of a liar to yourself, because there are athletes and there are people out there, right, that lie to themselves so great that they believe it. It's the woman who has on an outfit that you're like, you shouldn't wear that out there. But in her mind, her perception, she's the best looking woman on the planet, right? And then you have guys who you know that aren't tough guys, but in their mind, they brainwash themselves. So it's perception over our reality. Their perception becomes their reality.
What did you say, Bean?
I said we've seen her at Walmart.
Oh, yeah. Pretty much. Walmart has become really famous with that. But again, right, it's our perception, right? Our perception rules over facts, because our perception is our facts and our reality in our own world. I mean, here's a real brain twister. I often wonder, people who we consider crazy, are they really crazy, or are they smarter than us? Or are they on a different level? Because in our perception, our world that we live in, who are we to say that they're crazy? Because in their perception, they think that they're the smartest person in the world. How do we don't know that? I mean, it really, I really mess with myself sometimes. I often talk to people. I'm like, do you believe in time travel? Like, no, it's not possible. I'm like, really?
Never met
when you travel to the West Coast, you just traveled in time. It's true. It's time travel. Let's go deeper than that. Do you believe that we can travel so fast that we can skip days? Of course. If I travel over to Holland, I just skipped a day.
Yep.
If I travel back from Holland to the United States, I went back in time, literally.
So, Flex, I have a question that I want to ask Butterbean. Boss, I think you said your experience before you got to fight was similar to what Flex has described. Bean, where was your head in the locker room on the way to the ring? I cornered for you a lot of fights, and I never once saw you what I would consider concerned or nervous, and certainly not fearful. But I don't know. What was going on in your head before you would fight? And I want to ask Don Fry that question too.
Me, I didn't care. I mean, they whooped my ass. I knew the check was going to clear.
Right.
Wow.
I mean, I went out there because I was going to have a good time fighting, and I got paid for it.
Wow.
I mean, here I was a fat kid in school that always got picked on. Now I'm beating people's ass, and people's paying to watch me. I mean, it was awesome.
Bean, could I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When did you learn that you could fight? When did, like you said, you took it in high or primary school, whatever. When was that time that you stood up and you threw a punch and you seen the response from that person that you hit? When was that time?
When you took out that cheerleader on the 6th grade?
It's all right. I never really fought in school. I mean, I had a couple, scuffles, but it happened in a tough man contest that I was dared to get into.
Is that right? So you were a grown man before you knew you had lightning rods in those mitts of yours?
I was an older man. I was 26.
Good gosh.
I lied
Jeez.
about how old I was for like 5-10 years, just so they wouldn't like say you're too old for this.
Are you kidding? When did your confidence build and know that you could actually do this and that it wasn't a fluke? Because again, you know, sometimes people are just gifted to hit hard, but when did you know that you actually had a skill set in this?
Well, you know, when I was young, my older brother used to beat the shit out of me all the time, so I was used to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, when you hit somebody and knock them out, and the crowd response, that adrenaline rush is just, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Have you ever been knocked out? No, I
Never.
mean, not in fighting, but outside fighting, never, right?
I've been out one time. I fought the K1 Grand Prix and got my sternum broke.
Yeesh.
And on the airplane, I sneezed and passed out.
That's not knockout.
So the sneeze is 1-0. The
Because
sneeze
I
is
never
1-0.
I never been knocked out. Also, I fell on my head. I fell from a high thing. I had nunchucks on my head. A guy broke a Coca-Cola bottle on my head, a glass one, and I never been knocked out. It's
Come
really
on, boss. Look at that cranium you got, man. I think it's titanium. Look at it.
You remember that you guys, I don't know if you were one of the guys who got free breakfast at the hotel in Honolulu because some dumbass broke something and it's on the water stream. That dumbass was me because I broke the toilet when I slipped when I was drunk with my head. I break a toilet with my head, guys.
Oh,
How can you break a toilet with the head?
Wow.
I made the copies, bud, and the whole 38th floor started floating with water. So they called him. The security comes in, dude. It's the craziest thing ever.
Because new meaning the word shithead, right?
Yeah. Damn, Don, you're the king of the one-liners too. I didn't know you can go rounds, but the king of the one-liners too.
Dude, Don Fry is one of the funniest human beings on this planet.
Wow.
Not everybody knows that though.
Rick, Don was going to ask you the same question that he has been when you went to check out the horse there.
Yeah, Don, when you would go out to fight, we were talking about like what's in your head. Is it excitement, fear, another day at the races? I mean, like mentally, where were you typically on your way to the cage, on your way to the ring?
Yeah, we were talking also about Mike Tyson said he was afraid, he was crying, but then
you guys give me a second too, please.
So how was your experience?
I was happy just not have to train that day, man. I'm just lazy, man.
No, but were you afraid? Was there always a fear? Was there something that you thought, oh, what if this happens, if this happens, right? No, you see, I had the same thing. Like, I would have that, but I had a really good way of talking to myself. I said, what is the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is having an opponent who drops you, who walks away. He says, no, take your time, wake up. And he completely schools you. That's the worst thing. If you get knocked out, well, apparently you're not feeling it. If you get overpowered, well, he was the better guy. If you get me in an arm and I tap, I'm not going to break my arm. So what is really the worst thing that can happen? And once you start thinking about that, you realize the worst thing that can happen is losing, because then all the people are going to shit on you. And that's the worst. So you're thinking about people. And that's when I found out if you fight for you and you don't give a crap about anybody else, you fight at your best. You don't fight for your family, you put bread on the table. That's all BS. Fight for you. Because if you fight for you, you don't have any stress. And then you will fight at your best. And if you fight at your best, guess what? You're probably going to win. And then your family's going to be taken care of because you got more money. You see what I mean? So at the moment of I fought, I was always thinking, what can happen?
Wow.
What is the worst thing that can happen? And it was never a big thing. So that's coming too. Because I would be nervous, but then I would talk. And I would always, if I would be nervous, I think, boss, think about this. When the bell goes, bing, everything will be gone. And we all have this, right? The fire, bing, then you're in that zone. And I always focus on that. If I will be nervous, I go like, when the bell goes, it's going to be okay. And it always helped me. It always worked.
Rick, back in your days, wrestling wasn't the big show that it is now. And I grew up, my grandmother was a massive fan. My grandmother raised me. She was born in 1909. So she's seen everything that life had to offer. And she's the one who taught me, my real name is Kenny. She was like, Kenny, there's no such thing as black and white. There's just good and bad people. So her to be born in 1909, from Baton Rouge, she's seen it all. But she instilled that in me. But anyway, she was a massive fan of wrestling back then, right? Rocky Johnson, Pat Patterson, his partner and everything. And there was no talking while wrestling was on, while the wrestling was on, or the One Life to Live and all that stuff was on. There was no talking or you got it beaten, right? But back then, wrestling was very different. I read stories about, real fights backstage and real fights, in the ring. So how is your thought on wrestling today compared to what it was back in your time?
Well, it's a very different world these days. And we've got some pretty big name pro wrestling guests coming up in the next few weeks. So we can dive more into that at that time. But just briefly, it's a business these days, and it's homogenized, and it's a lot more cookie cutter. There's a certain type of guy or girl that is being looked for by the big companies, and they're all being brought up in very much the same way. So it's not to say there aren't tough guys in pro wrestling, because there are. Sure. And some of the guys in 1909 or 1950, had they been wrestling then, would have been top of the game and very, very, very tough in that world. But it's not a sport anymore where men are really allowed to be men. It's more about let's manufacture a creation to elicit a certain result. And like I said, we'll get more into that in upcoming weeks for sure. We're already past our hour here, and what I want to do real quickly is, because we're about 7 minutes past. Flex, it's been great having you on, man. I've been wanting to have you on from day one. You know that.
Thank you. I probably talked about that 1 hour, and you guys only 7 minutes combined. But thank you. I apologize.
Well, you're our guest of honor. You're a guest of honor tonight. I would like to throw to Don Fry and to Butterbean for a minute. Don, Bean, do you guys have any questions you want to ask of anybody else in the group here tonight, or just anything you want to throw out there at all? Go for it, please.
Oh, wait. I want to talk about Bean's pen. Show that pen one more time.
Absolutely.
Oh, the orange one I made for you, eh?
Oh, man. So badass. Oh, you made... Oh, no way.
Well, that was for you, boss, since you said you like orange.
Oh! Because orange is the color from the Netherlands.
Your razor should be at your house.
He sent me a razor too. Also from a jawbone, right? From the alligator.
Wow.
Dude, people, where can they find that? Do you have a website for that?
Just if they message me on Facebook, or go to my Facebook page.
Bean, are you only on Facebook, or are you on Instagram also?
I'm on Instagram also.
What's your Instagram?
Eric Ashley. I'm not.
You know what? I'll text you afterwards and get it from you.
Yeah, please do. I don't get on there much because they didn't want to verify me for a long time, so I just quit messing with it. Now that they verified me, I'm doing more on there.
Okay. And Mr. Fry, what about you? Do you have a Instagram or Facebook?
What was the Predator?
What do I have?
Don the Predator Fry.
Don the Predator Fry on Instagram.
Copy that.
Do me a favor, Don.
And
Yes,
quickly,
sir.
let's do a plug. Don Fry and Dan Severin have a weekly show. What's the name of the show again, please, Don? And
Consider it done. Consider it done. We'll exchange, Rick, if you can exchange our information and everything.
Yeah, I'll make sure everyone's on the same thread. And Don, real quickly, you and Dan Severin have a show every week. What's it called, and where can we watch and listen to it?
It's Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity, and
YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
Wow.
And sometimes we'll do a Q&A session. It's called Double D's in Your Face.
Yeah. Hey, 2 penises in your face, right? I mean, that is so crazy.
Wow.
Oh, you mean something else?
Yeah. D.
Okay, I'm thinking the same. We're driving on the road. Oh, sorry, Bean. Sorry, you go.
I said today's me and my wife's anniversary. We've been married 36 years now.
How long?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, 37 years.
37 years.
Oh,
I'm almost 30 years in February.
How old are you? How old are you, Bean?
You guys knew each other since what age? Like, whoa.
We dated from the 6th grade on.
And
Wow.
how old are you again, Bean?
Crazy, right?
55.
55. And
Yeah.
and you, Mr. Ross?
Me? I 92. February
Yeah.
92.
92.
Yeah, you see, I always tell this, right? Because I was teaching, teaching Thai boxing classes, and the owner of the gym said, never ever get a relationship with one of the students, because first of all, it's not good. The second of all, it's always going to hurt you, because if you break up, you
Got to see him every day.
And then, but I broke that rule. Of course, I broke that rule. I broke it once, but I was with my wife. So,
And Don, how old are you?
56, sir. How about you?
Wow, we're the same age. 1965. I'm 56.
me
Yeah.
too. What? Okay, what?
1965, August.
August, and you, Bean?
66.
66. You're the puppy.
Yeah.
Hey, August what, Flex?
What?
August. Mine's August 23rd.
Okay, I'm the 3rd.
Mine November
November what?
23rd.
Oh, my daughter is 24th.
Oh, yeah.
And Rick, you're the grandfather here, right, of all of us.
Yeah. My grandson
I'm the old one, yes. November 20th, and I was just 60 a couple weeks ago. Yes.
I was there. I was at your birthday party.
Bas Butterbean came to my birthday party. Thank you, Boss.
I met the Russian mob. It was awesome.
You know what? I wasn't invited either, and it doesn't take anything for Bas to go over to Hawaii. Anything. It could be a hurricane, and he's on his way over there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was in LA, but nonetheless, it was very, very happy to see you there. And we'll have a big one next year for all of us. But Flex, so yeah, I got to say this as a fan. This is always like such a privilege and a pleasure for me. I get to sit here and be on here with Butterbean and Don Fry and Bas Butterbean and Flex Wheeler. Man, it's just like the coolest thing ever. So thank all you guys, man. It's so good to see you all. And if anybody wants to sign off for us today, I just want to say I'm glad we have.
I do want to say one thing before we all go. I love all of y'all, man. I mean, I don't tell y'all enough, but love y'all, man. All of
Yeah.
y'all.
I just want to say the same
right
thing.
back,
I echo what Rick said. I watched you guys. You guys' sport is a lot bigger than ours. Your sport was on a big screen. It was all over TV and everything. And from this little black kid from the ghetto, and growing up and as a teenager, as a young man, watching you guys, it's mythological. There's books and the Bible is written about men like you all day long of all your statures. So, like I said, I'm not the type of guy, and I know I'm in a room with gentlemen of like-minded. I'm not the type of guy to blow smoke up a person's dress. I don't need to make you proud. I don't need to make you feel warm and fuzzy or anything like that. But there's very few men that I would I look forward to meeting and shaking their hand. And I'm talking to 3 of them, and I hope one day that we can all get together and maybe even do this live in a serious way.
We will.
Maybe even start doing tours and answering questions and traveling around. But it'd truly be an honor. And I just want to say, lastly, thank you guys for your openness, because it's not easy. You want to talk about strength. Put yourself out there in the public and watch them try to rip you apart. That's pure strength when you can do that. So it's gentlemen like you guys who enable me to continue being, whatever I am, of being honest and being strong. So, I truly appreciate it, from the bottom of my heart, from the struggles that I have with suicidal and low self-esteem and everything like that. Looking at gentlemen like you enable me to stand stronger. And I'll end my part on, Sir Isaac Newton said it best. If I've seen farther than others, it's because I've stood on the shoulders of giants. So everyone that I met who ricocheted me in the right trajectory, like you, man, like my martial arts instructor, Ty McGuire, you guys were the giants that I'm able to stand on their shoulders and be able to see farther. So thank you very much.
Dude, I love it. And you know what? The Bible talks about you also. There's a guy there in Hercules, but I don't know if he had a 32-inch freaking leg.
With 26 and a half inch waist. Yeah.
Okay, guys, so good to see you all. Boss Rutan, you wanna take us out for the week?
Oh, everybody, Godspeed, party on, buena suerte y disfruten de las fiestas. That's what I always say, because it's important that everybody stays happy, and forget about the hate. And the person, even if it's a political opponent of the front, we all want the same. We want the best for this country. Only you have been lied to. We've been lied to. Nobody knows what really is the truth. Let's come together and let's just fix it. Like, if I hear that people are kicking their family members out because of politics or their friends out, it's the dumbest thing ever. Let's forget emotions. Let's just love each other and have a good time. And this comes from a fighter who loves to hurt people. If you're a bad guy, I will beat the shit out of you. If you're a good person, I will be totally okay. So don't worry. I'm not, I didn't change the thing. Bad people, though, gonna go.
Hey, Flex.
Boss.
Yes, sir.
Want to know
Good
if
night,
you'll
everybody.
be my podcast here soon, would you?
Yes, it would be an honor. It'd be an honor. Rick's going to get you all my information. Don, anything you need, it would be truly an honor to be on your podcast, sir.
All right, Bean and Rick, I'll need all that information from you hippies too.
I will give it to him. I will give all you guys his information.
Copy that. Copy that.
Thanks, guys.
Good to see you all.
Oh,